Hey guys, I have a question for you. Is honesty really the best policy? Like, honestly, is it always the right thing to tell the truth? I mean, is there something inherently wrong with lying that we should know about? Because as far as I'm concerned, there are people who lie just because it's part of their nature. There are people who lie because they want to actually help somebody. There is positive lying in the world. And people hold honesty as a virtue, and I don't understand how anyone could hold that as a virtue. I recently took a test on one of my classes at OU, and I figured out that I score pretty lowly when it comes down to honesty. And I don't know if that makes me a worse person, because me being honest has always led to more consequences and more people being upset. And honestly, I also don't really enjoy telling the truth all the time. I mean, sometimes I just lie because it's to get me out of a situation. I mean, people who lie to get themselves out of situations generally tend to be people who listen a lot more. And people who listen a lot more tend to get more experience from certain events. They hear other people's perspective, and that really grants them a greater wisdom of stuff. And with by getting more information or reinforcing certain sources, you basically push an intellectual agenda. It also shows that you're good at problem solving, you get reading the room. I mean, lying isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if someone can tell you a lie, that's pretty bad. I mean, that's why you always start off small. Because, I mean, once you start off with a smaller lie, it's at the very bottom. And then you start talking about, you know, uh, say how you tried alcohol for the very first time recently. Well, then it wouldn't be believable to tell a lie how you like to go partying all the time and you go drinking with friends all the time. See, those two things don't line up. Now, if you said that the first time you had alcohol was you were very young, or you were with a relative, or it's a long time ago, or just any of these types of things, that makes the other lie, the bigger lie, that you like to go out and do things. You like to go out and drink. You like to go out with your friends. That just makes that one so much more believable. Even for someone like me who will redecorate his room, stay up until middle of the night by myself, do little art things. Yeah, I mean, it's not a sad life that I live, but it's definitely you know, I could very easily tell you that my life is not partying. My life is not 100% social interaction or fun. But yeah, I mean, no, but like, is lying really bad? You know, I mean, there are some pretty intelligent people who lie, and there are some pretty nice people who lie. Lying can be used to spare people's feelings. Lying can be used maliciously, but does that mean the act of lying is actually malicious? I mean, it's kind of like the same idea of like, what constitutes a weapon? It's the same thing. What constitutes maliciousness? If you equivalent a weapon to malicious intent, then you could say a lot of things could be used as a weapon, or a lot of things could be used for malicious intent. Even honesty can be used for malicious intent. I mean, I've been honest to the point that I've hurt people. Like, being honest doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing. Sometimes being completely honest to a point that's like, absurd, can really be, it can be a pain, it can be malicious, it can be a weapon, you know? So lying isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I don't understand why people still think that honesty, pure honesty, is a virtue. I honestly think that pure honesty is pretty bad. When it comes down to very few things, honesty is always important. Honesty and facts. Facts need to be objective, they can't be subjective, which is why lying about facts is so problematic. I mean, You can lie about your opinion on things, and that's fine. That's expected. Because that's where the truth really hurts the most, is when you're talking about your own ideas and opinions. Because you're the one who controls those ideas and opinions. And by telling the truth or telling a lie, you're able to change the way that you think. If you go on with a lie long enough and you really make a good lie, then you start to believe it. A good person could be start acting malicious because of this lie, or someone who has been incredibly problematic can start to believe in something that could help people just based off of a lie that they told and they've been going along with. I mean, that sounds like a movie, plot, but I assure you that real life also has moments like that where people just they do something and then they start to get an attachment to it because of odd reasons. Like, there's no reason that they would have done it except for they were pressured and then they told a lie, and then after that lie they got pulled into the whole situation. But again, I just don't think lying's all that bad. But my other question is honesty a virtue? I mean, is it really like how you show high moral standard? I mean, if I was able to prove that lying isn't necessarily a bad thing, because of the fact that honesty isn't necessarily a good thing, then maybe, and there's no middle ground in this, by the way. I mean, honesty has always been seen as like the plus, as the one, as the good thing, as the just the positive. It's been on the up and up. It's the glass half full perspective, apparently. And lying is the glass half empty. It's the zero in the binary code. It's the negative numbers. It's the negative charge. It's the wrong thing to do. I don't necessarily see that to be the case. I mean, I see a lot of things that can be done with lying that have been malicious, but there's a couple of extreme examples where lying might have saved people. Like lying. Let's say, okay, Adolf Hitler. All right, big example. Maybe you can already tell I'm going with this, but Adolf Hitler was a painter, and he didn't get accepted into art school, and the people didn't necessarily like his art. Now, someone lied to him and said that his art was fine, and he did go on to become an artist instead of going into politics and starting World War II. Then maybe millions of people wouldn't have died. Millions of people and their children and their families ruined, devastated. Maybe something different would have happened. But, honesty is a virtue. So maybe it was the right thing. Maybe everything's meant to be this way. That's why I don't understand virtues. That's why I don't understand the word sin. Because, sin, it suggests that the world is black and white. Which there are some things that are numerically black and white. There's no way to see it any other way. Honesty and lying, they're definitely opposites. But there's good and bad as head and tails. There's nothing good and bad about head and tails. I mean, if you flip a coin and it lands on heads, you're not like, oh, that's a positive. And if it lands on tails, that's a negative. They're seen as equal opposites. They're just opposite sides of the same point. And I don't really know if there's a situation where, there's like a gray area, similar to how a coin has a little area in between both one side and the other. It's very rare that a coin will land sideways, to the point that it can land and it will usually roll around because of the fact that it's a circle. But I mean, if it lands, well, actually, it's not really a circle. It's a very flat cylinder, and it will roll. It's a wheel, most similarly. And I'm sure there are gray areas to the point, but I mean, is there really a gray area to the idea? If the idea is that neither of them are good nor bad, they're just opposites. So I don't think honesty is a virtue because there are definitely examples of honesty being the problem in the situation where sometimes lying is good and honesty is bad. If there are cases of honesty being good and honesty being bad, that means there are cases of lying being good and lying being bad. So, no, in my opinion, honesty is not a virtue. It's backed up by the fact that lying can be a tool used for good, and honesty can be a tool used for malicious intent. And so then that argument backs up the opposite argument of lying and honesty. They're equal opposites. And they're kind of impressive, you know. But I guess that's really all there is to it. One last thing, I do like people who are able to lie. And I do like lying myself. I do like lying quite a lot. Because when you lie, you not only listen to other people and prove to those people that you're listening, if you're able to make a discernible lie based off of what other people are saying, most of the time they don't even care. They just, all they recognize is the fact that you're talking about something that's familiar to them, and you're starting to, even if you know nothing about a subject, people like to know that you're listening, and people like a response to things that you say. And they like a positive response. And you get to be in control of a situation when you tell lies. Because not only do you hear all the conversations, you're able to just put yourself in a random point. You could be in any argument, and not an argument that starts off with you in it. I mean an argument between two other people in which you interject. And you're able to just listen and get into it. People who are good at lying as well as telling the truth could definitely get into that. And lying is also good for making jokes. Like sarcasm, for instance, is all based on lies. I mean, it's lying, but in a way that's so obvious that you understand that you're trying to tell the exact opposite of what you're saying. And that is a form of lying, but it's lying in a satirical way. So, lying can be awesome. Lying can be fun. Honesty can be horrible, and honesty can be malicious and problematic. So, all right. I guess that's all I have. I guess I'll say the time too. It's 11:10 p.m. Central Standard. I took some melatonin, and I'm still not tired. I'm waiting for it to take a little bit effect on its own. And I'm going to turn off my light as well right after I finish recording this. And then I'm going to hop in bed. Well, first I'm going to brush my teeth and get ready. But thank you guys for watching. If you do like my little rants and my lectures, then, feel free to write a comment. And I will try my best to respond to it with a comment on my own. So, thank you for watching. See, until next time, guys.